G'day guys, and a big welcome today. Shorty and I are going to do the review, which is between Geelong and Sydney. An amazing win against all the odds. It was Geelong getting home by 59 points, a 10-goal drubbing to, you wouldn't believe it, the Sydney Swans. And we were written off all week, absolutely no chance. Lonergans are laid out, and it looks even more of a mammoth task than it was. And, mate, we found a way to get the chocolates. You were working, I think, for most of it. Got back at least to see the end of the third and the final term when it was just pure bliss. It was one of the best wins ever for the football club. And I don't say that lightly at all. I mean that in all seriousness, under all the circumstances going against us. We stood up in a big final, and for the first time ever, I think we've beaten Sydney in a final. And just absolutely tasty the way it went, mate. So you described it before. It was a brilliant display from the Cats, and it's turned the final series upside down.
Yeah, it was amazing. Obviously we couldn't go with a few circumstances, Dad working, myself working, but I pretty much watched the first quarter at work and then got in the car and listened to the radio and made my way quickly to you fellas to watch the game. But gee, it was worth it. It was unbelievable stuff. I think during the week when we were talking, it certainly wasn't silly or pessimistic to suggest that we were basically no chance. I mean, anything can happen in 2017, which provided us with a little bit of hope, and we have been capable, but everything suggested that we would go down. I think I said to one of my mates, 10% chance of winning, I think. That's about all I gave it. And I'll tell you what, when Lonergan went out, I thought, man, it's just not our night. This is not going to happen. Guthrie already out. The Swans unstoppable. The history books were against us. The MCG wasn't our favourite friend for a while. But somehow we put in, as you said, one of the best performances we can really remember. And I think the reason for that is often you go to games being a supporter of a good club, you expect to win. Even if the odds have you down a little bit, you still think you're good enough to say, nah, those odds are wrong, we can get the job done here when we're on. But this was one where you really just went in with that supporter optimism, and it made it so good watching it because it was that elation. It was just that feeling of we did not think we'd get this win, but we did. And I suppose how we do it, I mean, during the week I was crunching the numbers, and
that was good.
You have to look at what Hawthorn did, because over 17 weeks they were the only side to beat them. They did it twice, so it was no fluke. And it was an uncontested ball, the uncontested marks, controlling possession, and a high kick to handball ratio, which is basically the reason why they possessed it by foot with those marks. And both times Hawthorn topped 100 uncontested marks and kicked about 250 kicks to 150 handballs. And last night, I think we had about 115 or 14 uncontested marks. And
wow.
About 256 to 170 odds. So, and we are normally pretty handball happy. So we took a nice leaf out of Hawthorn's book, executed it beautifully. It was a bit more than just that as well. I mean, there was Dangerfield going forward, which was immense and a great move and a brave move by Scott. It's not easy to take away the best player in your side out of the midfield, but he did that. Taylor going back, maybe he would have anyway if Lonergan played, but regardless, it worked out really well. And just an ability to get some guys up that were badly out of form and probably had a few demons on the big stage. Motlop's the prime example, and there were many others that we've been critical of in big games and big moments, and they stood up. So, what happens from here, we'll wait and see, but it's one of those ones where you just got to soak up the moment because, gee, it was so good. And last night was one of the very best, mate. It was so much fun to watch the boys win with some Cats fans and one Brisbane fan, surprisingly, and then absolutely grab a pizza, rewatch the game, couple of beverages. That's what it's about.
That's what life's about, mate. Nicely said there. But look, yeah, as I said, no chance at all. But and when Lonergan was out, I thought, oh god, this is not. This can't be happening. It's absolutely unreal. And then we started off reasonably well. I thought, okay, we're in this game at quarter time, and then a stat came up on the telly which was out of this world. I think when the Cats lead at quarter time, it's 10 wins, and that's it. 10 wins, no losses, no draws. And then showing all these other stats, which I sent through to our inbox, mate. And I I was like, oh, so we're a chance. It was really good to see. So that was a bit of reinforcement, but it wasn't necessarily the scoreboard, but the way we set up behind the footy. We had Henderson loose, and I think last week Townsend put some work into him, and he was made to look pretty ordinary one-on-one when he made an accountable role, and Hendo had way too much time and space, and it looked like every time Sydney got a kick inside 50, we would always have that extra outnumber and be able to sort of air zone off there, and Hendo would just intercept and do what he does, and would get out of the back line way too easily, which is something we probably haven't seen much. The pressure was enormous. Like, we were hot on Sydney. We out Sydney, if that's even possible. It was said in the papers today, and that they got to taste their own medicine and then some, I reckon. It was so good because you never ever see Sydney rattled. They're so composed, they're so balanced, they're so seasoned, and you expect them to just keep going. And some people saying, oh, yeah, look, they're due for a loss, or, you know, they've been going at it for a number of weeks straight. I'm not sure if I fully subscribe to that, but I mean, you are eventually going to have a downer period where players aren't as motivated, but you also got to acknowledge the opposition and how the structures they put in place and things like that. And Geelong were there for the challenge. We're a proud club. I'm not sure if I mentioned it last week on the review, but at least throughout the week I was quite optimistic with our chances, like maybe just throwing things out there. I thought, look, if we bring our best, Sydney, they've won so many in a row, when's it going to come to an end? And just some random stats here and there, and just gave me a bit of hope, and luckily that came through. We got so much more of the footy. We executed so well, as you said, mate. Our kicking and just our general disposal was perfect. Like, it was Christine. It was like we were the Tigers of last week. Really smooth with the footy and great transition all game. A few more inside 50s which help, and plus 25 in contested possessions, massive. But yeah, our transition, ball movement, and Dangerfield forward, mate, as we said, he has to play full forward next week if we are to beat the Crows. Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I mean, Menzel added a bit, and Hawkins played a selfless role, and half it was electric as well. But certainly Dangerfield, just his presence, unbelievable. And I think the very fact that he is Patrick Dangerfield just makes defenders a little bit shaky, and it was great to see Dane Rampy have his feathers ruffled.
Oh, I love that. I don't think... I respect Rampy and I like what he does, but I don't like him as a player because he annoys me and he's so good. But it was so good to just see him washed up and Paddy just take him to town. He gave away like 3 or 4 free kicks. One was very soft, in fact, which was very lucky, but Paddy kicked down the full, so no damage done, thankfully. A bit of justice in the end there, but I think we'll probably talk about this more in the player review with where Paddy sits best and why I think he should play forward. And yeah, it's no rocket science really, but yeah, we'll sort of discuss that later. We converted really well on the scoreboard. We just had to win, and we found every possible method and way of just getting around the ball and just being absolutely ruthless. And I expected us to come out hard. I've expected us maybe for the first quarter and first half, and then Sydney's take control. But we did for basically the whole game in that second quarter when we really strung a hold of the Swans. It was there was blood brewing. So look, it was fantastic. I'm so proud. It's probably one of the best wins I've ever seen, and I'm not. Yeah, as I said earlier, I'm not exaggerating just because of a great finals win. It'd probably be at least around the top 5 mark, and that's including grand finals.
Yeah, it had a bit of line in the sand. I mean, we had to really stand up for the jumper, and otherwise we risk becoming that club that just chokes up in finals, because that record started to get talked about a fair bit, and if we lost, we would have gone through pre-season again, and the whole season we'd be thinking, well, what's it matter if we finish top 2 if we're just going to blow it on the big stage again? And I think that was massive for it. We shouldn't forget, it's easy to look now and say, oh, there are a couple of hopeful things, but it was as doom and gloom a lead-up as you could ask for as a Cats fan. There was so little hope. Everyone was talking about the Swans getting through, so it shouldn't be forgotten how tough a task that was. And I think it was great that we did have a few things to draw hope on, but so often that's all it is. And
Yep.
like you, I did expect a hard edge and a tougher, more effort-based Cats outfit to rock up, but it doesn't always translate to a win. You know, you see that for half, then the good team gets on top. But we certainly played great footy and came with a real plan. And just about with Sydney having a down game, I think it's true to an extent. I never think you're due to have a poor game, but you've got to sort of seduce it out of them. I mean, sometimes a club might be just a little bit off, but if you don't play good footy to get them on the back foot and then have them rattled, that poor game never comes. So if you let them off when they are vulnerable, then all of a sudden they get going and they do find their footy, but they'll give it no chance to. And like you said, by the end, they were as rattled as I've ever seen. So it was great, mate. Really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Sydney never ever get smashed. Like, let's be honest, in the last 10 years, we've probably seen them get thrashed. Obviously, 14 grand final, a couple of times here and there, but they just never ever get smashed because they're so defensively good, and it was amazing to see them so rattled and stunned.
Yeah, it certainly was, mate.
We'll move into the votes, and we could raffle on all day about the Cats review there and the actual analysis of the game, but we'll move into the votes, mate. The one vote is exceptionally difficult.
Yeah, it is. There's so many guys that were fantastic. I gave 3 votes to Dangerfield. I thought when the first half was really when the game was being won and set up, he was just unstoppable. 4 goals in the first half. So much forward half possession and inside 50 possession and just a commanding presence, and his impact alone, I think, just set the tone. So 3 votes to Danger, 2 votes to Duncan, who equally could have been the 3 if it wasn't maybe Dangerfield just got by on his sheer goals, but Dunks joined in as well. Then he kicked a couple in that second term. I think he had 12 touches in that second term. It all added up to 36 and 14 marks, I think it was. Unbelievable stuff.
He was marking a lot.
He was huge and great to see him really tear a final apart. That was good. And I gave the 1 vote to Lockie Henderson. I just thought, again, maybe giving a little bit more weight to his performance early in the game. I thought he was brilliant structurally, had such an influence over the game with Sydney going into attack, and so often he would just be in the right position and more often than not mark. I think he had 14 marks? I think maybe 13 or something like that. But
13, just looking here, mate.
Intercept possession, and I thought he was brilliant, cool with the ball, and he's pretty underrated, I feel. I thought he's had a really good season. I think he'd be top 5 in our best and fairest, and I know he's snuck in for a couple of votes here and there for me, but he's one of those guys that just is super reliable and has been a really good fit for us.
Yeah, no, he's been fantastic for sure. So, Dangerfield 3 votes. That's pretty nice and easy. He got the 26 touches, 18 kicks, and I feel like we probably feel like he handballs a lot. And that can happen when you're in congestion, winning the full ball at sort of at face value there. 8 marks, and I reckon a few of those would have been contested, no doubt. And got the free kicks as well. I reckon Dane Ramsey might have a few free against next to his name there. He also got the 4 tackles, 4 goals, 3 in the end. As he said, mate, it's pretty obvious there that when the game was absolutely crying out for a target and a presence, a monster, a beast, he was there. He was there just kicking goals left, right and centre. He was absolutely invincible in the first half. I think he moved into the midfield and they sort of must have nursed him in the second half. I'm not too sure there, but Duncan got the 2 votes, 36 touches, 14 marks, 3 tackles, 2 goals. Just unbelievable stats there. I said on the night, I said he's got to have 20 marks here, and not too far off actually. He just got a stack of it and just put himself in the right spots. Really silky with the ball. Twice as many kicks as handballs, mate. So that's what we like to see. When he's the best kick, one of the best kicks in the competition, and probably just about our best in our team. You want him kicking the football. So, look, again, very crucial goals at big times, and really helped out massively. And the 1 vote, I could throw a blanket over probably 5 or 6 blokes, but I'm going Steve Motlop. I was tempted to go with Tui, Henderson, and Menegala, probably is my next lot. I'm not sure if I said Zach Smith in there as well, but I could throw a blanket over all those guys. But I'm going
Good subs as well. He should get mentioned too.
14 tackles. There you go, mates. Very good. Yeah, no, he's right up the top of the list, and even Darcy Lang too with a few marks. So yeah, where are we at, mate? Steve Motlop, 23 touches, 3 marks, 6 tackles, and a goal that probably just about put it beyond doubt, put it out to 44 points. I said last night, it's probably the best game he's played for the club, maybe his most important game. So interesting, this character. I mean, you just never quite know what you're going to get with him. He's a little bit like Forrest Gump's box of chocolates, but last night he did what we know he can do. The challenge for me and for him will be, can he do it next week? Can he replicate it and continue to show the brilliant magic he has? He was scintillating with his run and carry and dummying all night. He was just, it was uncatchable. His tackle and pressure, his effort on Nick Smith and Gary Rowan, that tackle there was line in the sand moment for him. I felt he had no right to win that contest when they had Smith who dropped it, and he gave Smith a bit of a push. Rowan took him on. Smith didn't shepherd for him. I don't think anyone shepherds anymore, but another story there. And Motlop just got him cold. Gary Rowan, one of the fastest blokes on the field. So that was incredible from Steve, and I was super wrapped with his game and wrapped with a whole host of other players.
Definitely, mate. There's plenty to choose from.
Yes, and plenty to not choose from when we're talking about the player review, which we're going to delve into now, matey. So, a couple of potential changes to come in potentially. There's a few names being thrown around, Cockatoo and maybe Guthrie, depending on his health at the time, and of course Lonergan. But I'll let you take centre stage here, mate. It's your segment. Anyone that didn't have a great game, probably not many, because we had a really good night and a really great win. But I'll let you take centre stage here and get in the coach's box and play a selection.
Yeah, well, like a few of those guys you said, definitely Lonergan just for the food poisoning. He'll be right. Guthrie, I thought he was going to miss a number of weeks, but I've been told that probably just the one looks likely, so we could talk about him as a guy who's coming into the side. So he's going to be close. And Cockatoo, he's been out for so long, surely he's ready to go. He must have been super close last week, or this week I should say.
Yeah.
I think if he's a roll the dice sort of opportunity for the Crows, you roll the dice, I think. I don't think it's a time to be cautious because, look, if he comes out and he pings his hammy, it's unfortunate, but take the off-season to get over it, Nikolai. We need you out there, and the potential upside is huge. So, yeah, for me, I think Parsons would be the likely guy to go out for Cockatoo.
Agreed, yep.
Reece Stanley was reasonable last night, but I would still be comfortable with putting him out of the side and bringing Lonergan back, which was the late change.
Yep.
And Cam Guthrie, well, look, Zach Guthrie was pretty good, and maybe that was because a lot of his teammates helped him out, and he capitalised on some good moments and laid some good tackles. Colin Jasny was also good, so was Darcy Lang. So
yeah,
a few guys, it is tough, but I do still feel that some of those guys won't always play as good a footy when the tide's against them. So
absolutely agree, yep.
I would probably...
Maybe a Lang. Lang played really well. He got 24 touches and 10 marks, so...
I was going to say, I probably would still say Lang might be the guy to go out. It does depend positionally how it's all going to add up, because obviously you're bringing back Lonergan, so, I'm not sure whether Zach Guthrie... Yeah, I hope we're not just judging him on his physique and his baby boy looks, but sometimes he does concern me, but he's going to be a player for the future, so I think it's quite clear who Lonergan and potentially Cockatoo come in for, but it's that one where Cam Guthrie, he's a must-have. He's just such a good player throughout midfield. That's probably where, I don't think it'll be Colin Jasny, but perhaps maybe it's Lang versus Zach Guthrie, which could be the real question. So it'd be tough to put either of them out, but Cam Guthrie needs to play, so there's got to be a tough luck story at some point.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you see a lot of players, especially in really good sides, they have their youngsters, and they eventually they just go by the wayside when I guess you have an injury that's coming back that's more seasoned, and as you said, when the tide's against them, they can help with the momentum and turn it around, kind of thing. Where Zach Guthrie, I should say. I mean, he's a nice player. I mean, as you said, if everything's rolling and the team's going really well as it was last night, he's going to look a lot better than than against Richmond, when it's absolutely good luck to anyone. So, and he was actually reasonable against Richmond. He certainly wasn't their worst player that night anyway. So, but yeah, it'll be a tough call between Lang and Zach Guthrie, all depending on health and fitness from Cam.
Yeah, definitely. And Tom Stewart, our good mate Langers, has got the inside word that he'll be all right. So I think it was a hamstring that the concern was, but apparently he should be okay. So that's good news.
Yeah, I did a bit of reading earlier this morning when I woke up nice and early, mate. I had a bit of a look, and looking at the match report, it seemed to be very precautionary rather than actually something bad. So I would say that's pretty much on the money. Wiley Buzzer.
Yeah, I think he's always in the mix for sure, but it just maybe depends on the forecast potentially. I mean, I wouldn't go changing too much with what we did last night. Maybe if they want to have that other key tool, then that's where it maybe becomes the full process of Reece Stanley or Wiley Buzzer, because I think Taylor's got to play back.
Oh, it has to, yeah.
So it probably just depends what way they want to go there. I'd be more inclined to change as little as possible, but
for sure,
you've always got that option if you really felt you had to throw Taylor forward. But I think Hawkins up there, Men's up there, and if Dangerfield's up there, that's enough aerial presence.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And on to that point there, I mean, I think a lot of it will depend if Dangerfield is set to play forward, and I think he should. As I mentioned before, I wanted to sort of have a bit of a chat about Paddy in this segment. I think he really does throw the defence out, and when he's in the forward line, we look so dangerous. Whether or not he's one out, as he was against Hawthorn, it was something so unique that unique in the modern game where you don't have your one out full forward anymore because of zones and structures and things like that, team defence. But when you've got someone that's so good, he makes the forward line look so much more dynamic, and everyone's moving around and creating space, and then Danger's drawing all this attention, and then all of a sudden Menzel kicks 4 or 5 because whether Dangerfield's a decoy or not, it allows other players to get in the game if he isn't already hitting the scoreboard himself. And Tom Hawkins is a bit of a, I don't know if you call him a decoy or just didn't have great hands on the night. Great goal at the end, but he can not only be the match winner, but at least set it up for others with the structure of just having him in there and throwing out the Crows' defence as a general rule.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I think after that match this week, he'll certainly be starting forward, one would think.
Yeah, let's hope it's not too predictable. Otherwise, the Crows will be all over it and they'll have things set up. But it's one thing setting up and knowing about it. It's another thing stopping it.
Yeah, exactly. But it'll be a massive game, won't it? Again, we'll go in as underdogs, rightly so. But
sure will.
We probably go in a little bit more optimistic against Crows in Adelaide than Sydney on the G. It's funny like that. I think our record against the Crows has been okay. They certainly got us pretty well last time, but it's not without possibility given what we produced the other week. Anything's possible, but I still feel we'd be having to produce something special again, and we'll go in as serious underdogs.
Yeah, spot on, mate. And a lot of it too is, I reckon a lot of last night's game would have been a lot about emotion and response to the criticism and all the drama associated with all of that. And that takes away so much energy. The players will be stuffed for a few days after a massive win like that, and they would have been feeling it throughout the week and just let it all out Friday night and got the result done. But yeah, again, it's going to be very tough. I think one of my big hopes is obviously no team has won from this current garbage final system with the bye if they've won the qualifying final. So it's 0-2. Obviously, Sydney got us, and the Giants, in a very, very close game against the Bulldogs, going down, I think, by 6-7 points there. So, close one on that side of the spectrum. But, look, it's... and every team says it, and every player says it, that they like continuity and things like that. So, the 2 games in a month is really going to throw them out, I would suspect. And they'll hopefully still be in holiday mode, because they certainly won't be as match hardened as we are right at the moment. And as I said, with the Richmond loss, it might be a blessing in disguise, because we don't have that awkward week off where how hard do you go in training and how much preparation do you do, and it's not great records after those weeks off. So look, it could be a blessing in disguise, structurally and things like that. Crows are very good at Adelaide Oval. We got them there last year. They obviously are touch better, reasonably better than they were last year, even though I think they won 15, 16 games last year. So probably about the same there, but they have been reasonably dominant. But our record stacks up pretty well, so I'll give us a fair chance, mate. I still reckon 4 or 5 goals maybe in favour of the Crows, but I'll certainly go in with optimism, and again, if we're in at a quarter time, we'll certainly be in good stead. Sloan will be back in, no doubt. That'll pretty much be a guaranteed in. And look, if we bring 80 to 90% of what we've done against the Swans, I reckon we're a good chance to potentially get to bigger things. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think we'll need to bring very close to what we brought, that's for sure. I feel as if it is going to be very difficult, that's no doubt. But you're right, we do sort of match up reasonably well. I suppose the fact that they're tall forwards and they're dangerous forwards, we have matchups for, and Tui and Buse have even had reasonable records on bets, so that has
for sure
helped. But yeah, not too sure, mate. That week off, it's a tough one to tell. We've only had 2 examples of it, and it's not enough to really say it's an advantage or a disadvantage, but it provides that little unknown. It's a bit of a factor, so we'll wait and see. But yeah, it'll be intriguing to see how they come out, because it is a challenge playing what is, say, one game in about 26 days or something like that. So yeah, it'll be challenging, but I think we certainly just need to focus on what we're doing, and hopefully we can continue the momentum that we produced on Friday. And I think we need to pay some attention to, if it's not Sloan, because we paid attention to him last time and he was best on ground after just waltzing through the tag, whether they go Sloan again, or maybe they go to Matt Crouch, who's never really handled a hard tag, never had to. So maybe you say, look, let's make Sloan dump kick the ball and rush kick, which he can do sometimes, and try and really clamp down on a guy who hasn't been tagged much and really shut him out to sort of 15 touches. But we'll wait and see, and obviously you've got to be mindful of that Adelaide forward line, and they're a good side. Certainly the back line can rebound like no other, and making Lever accountable, which Sydney didn't make Henderson accountable last night. Sort of shows what those intercept tools can do. But just a couple of, I suppose, positional things to think about. But yeah, I go in with a little bit of hope for sure, and a bit of confidence drawn from the other night. But I certainly don't feel as if we've got any reason to be booking grand final tickets yet, but I do hope that we are producing that similar stuff we did, because the jury's out whether we can consistently do it. As you said, a lot of it would have been driven off emotion and prove the whole world wrong. Let's hope we can go over there and just do it without a genuine point to prove. We just have to create our own atmosphere away from home, and it's going to be a massive task, but I look forward to it. So hoping to walk away with an unexpected victory again.
Absolutely. I think if we break even at the midfield or win the midfield battle, I think we win.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad call, because they certainly got us there last time. So, and both teams do rely on that midfield, given how they set up at the other end of the ground. And I think definitely a good call.
When we're on top, and you can see it with a lot of our Simmons Stadium games and games in general, when we're playing well, if we're applying pressure to the midfield, the ball carrier, it makes it very hard for their forwards to go in behind the defence, because we have time to set up and really look quite damaging. And then hurt on the spread and on the counter attack, and equally when we're on top, it gives our forwards a chance. So it's like a 2-goal breeze there, mate. Already, just if you are on top there, and look, certainly that'll be, as it is every game every week, it will be won and lost in the midfield.
Yeah, fair call, mate. Looking forward to it.
Outstanding review, mate. Been a pleasure, and hopefully we can have another review potentially beyond next week.
Hope so, mate. That'd be great.
All right, hopefully all positive from you guys. So that's that's the review from us today. Cats home, 10 goals against the Swans. MCG. Cats can't win at the G. Cats can't beat the Swans. Cats can't do this, can't do that. Well, stick it right up them, Cats. You've done it. You've won a final, so keep going, and hopefully we can get the chocolates against the Crows, and just keep going on our merry way, and hopefully onto something special. But see how we go against Adelaide and go from there. Really appreciated your support, guys, and thanks for hanging around again, as always. Muchly appreciated. Don't forget to give the video a like, subscribe as well. It'd be great. And once again, thank you, and we'll see you all next time.